I'm Jane King at the NASDAQ market site. A kung fu thriller could kick up AMC Network share price.
I'm Remy Blair in San Francisco. Healthcare takes center stage on Merger Monday. Mega caps are eyeing deals, but is it a short squeeze for a small cap biotech name?
Welcome to Small Cap Nation. I'm Jane King at the NASDAQ market site in Times Square. AMC Networks has diversified beyond biting and kicking and sword play. Last weekend, zombie thriller The Walking Dead brought in almost 13 million viewers. That was up 3% from the prior week, and 6.4 million of them stuck around for the debut of Into the Badlands, which looks a little like kung fu with a sprinkling of Mad Max and the Hunger Games. That gives Badlands one of the strongest cable starts ever. Now, the stock is up on the company's recent success, but Barron says investors should stick with it. It's still got Walking Dead as a big hit and an excellent shot at another breakout hit. Well, U.S. automated teller machine maker Diebold has launched a $1.8 billion cash and share offer for German rival Wingcor-Nixdorf to form the world's largest ATM maker. A combination of Wingcor-Nixdorf and Diebold would lead to a global market leader in automated teller machines with a market share of about 35%, leaving NCR the global number 2 with an estimated share of 25%, according to analysts. Wingcor-Nixdorf has been looking for ways to secure its future as it suffers a weak retail banking market in Germany, deteriorating business in Russia and China, a sluggish recovery in Europe, and falling prices for ATMs. Well, Peabody Energy said it had agreed to sell its New Mexico and Colorado coal assets to Bowie Resource Partners for $358 million in cash. Shares of Peabody jumped more than 15% on that news. Bowie will also assume about $105 million in related liabilities, according to Peabody. Now, Bowie confirmed the deal and said the acquisition would nearly double its production to 25 million tons per year, generating annual revenue of $1 billion. Okay, lots of small cap companies making news and earnings in other ways today, so here's a rundown. Jacobs Engineering reported a 16% fall in its bottom line. Novocure says its data show a risk of death in brain cancer patients fell when they used its drug. Sarepta drugs were favorably mentioned in a weekend article in Barron's. Snyder's Lance shares said to be expensive compared to the peers, according to Barron's, and Blue Mountain has boosted its take to 10% in Terraform Power. Trina Solar missed expectations. Navios Maritime reported a loss for the quarter that was in line with expectations. And GameStop shares are under pressure as NPD Group warns that retail video game sales are slowing in favor of digital games. Well, this has not been a fun year for GoPro shareholders. The stock has fallen a painful 80% in 2015, and now Barron says it may have further down to go. Barron says GoPro is facing increasing competition in its niche market for action cameras, and the company's latest camera, the Session, seemed to be a dud. Now, shares were likely headed lower, according to Barron's, to $25 from $35. Now, Barron said that the CEO of GoPro, Nick Woodman, has said in the past that the company is more than a one-trick pony. And Mockingjay 2's opening may have been weak enough to hurt Lionsgate stock. The Hunger Games Mockingjay 2 opened to a North American box office of $101 million. That was below expectations of $125 million, which was at or near the low end of expectations and the weakest in the Hunger Games franchise. This film is the final installment of the franchise. The mega cap names are taking the spotlight in biotech, but small cap names are making moves today. The rally in KaloBios Pharmaceuticals continues, with the stock up over 30%. Recent price action lifted the company above the $20 per share mark. What's behind today's gain?
Hi, Jane. The mega merger between Pfizer and Allergan may be grabbing headlines today, but KaloBios continues to skyrocket. Shares are up by over 40% today. Last week, KaloBios announced the appointment of Martin Shkreli as its CEO and chairman of its board. This comes after an investor group led by Shkreli acquired 70% of the company's outstanding shares. Shkreli and other investors have given a commitment for an equity investment of at least $3 million to the company. The newly appointed CEO and the group of investors have also given a commitment for a $10 million equity financing facility, which is subject to applicable shareholder approval. So basically, we're seeing the short squeeze continue on Monday.
KaloBios' new CEO, Shkreli, believes that linzilimumab is a promising candidate for a rare type of leukemia. Now, what's the history behind that drug?
Lenzilumab is a drug which was initially developed by KaloBios for the treatment of severe asthma. Last year, the drug failed to meet its primary endpoint in a phase 2 study. KaloBios said it would discontinue clinical development of the drug in severe asthma. Now, despite the failed trial, Shkreli still sees potential, and this time the drug is under research as a possible treatment for CMML. Now, this is a rare type of leukemia with a median life expectancy of 15 to 20 months after diagnosis. Right now, there is no curative treatment available. Now, KaloBios announced a trial for lenzilumab in CMML to start later this year. Meanwhile, Shkreli said in a press release that he expects interim results from this study as soon as next year. Keep in mind that other pharma companies have not jumped on the potential of lenzilumab, so this could make KaloBios a risky and expensive bet.
And is there an update on Daraprim?
Well, Jane, according to sources, Turing Pharmaceuticals plans to slash the drug's price by up to 50% for hospitals. The drug would still cost a lot more than when Turing acquired the U.S. rights to the drug in August of this year. The privately held pharma company took the price of Daraprim from $13.50 a tablet to $750 a pop. Now, sources say the discount will be based on how much of the drug hospitals used and that the price cut will not apply for non-hospital use. Turing may sell bottles of the drug in quantities of 30 tablets per bottle instead of just bottles of 100 tablets.
It's been a turbulent past few weeks for the European markets. We'll take you to Paris next on this Monday, November 23rd. You're watching Small Cap Nation, the leader in small cap news coverage.
Good. Very good. You see something moving off the shelves, and your first thought is to investigate the company. You are type E. Yes, investment opportunities can be anywhere. Or not. But you know the difference.
E-Trade's barcode scanner. Shorten the distance between intuition and action. E-Trade. Opportunity is...
Before they sat down, one more time, just for themselves. Before the last grandchild graced the stage. Before Katie and her husband hit that rough patch. Before Kevin finally came home and the first grandchild arrived. Before the sons-in-law, daughters-in-law, and Brad's brief brush with the law. Before the second British invasion. Before Katie, Debbie, Kevin, and Brad. Before they became a family. There was a connection that started it all and made the future the wonderful thing it turned out to be. We know we're not the center of your life, but we'll do our best to help you connect to what is.
Sometimes the present looked bright, sometimes romantic. There were tears in my eyes, and tears in my eyes. And so many little things that we learned were really the biggest things. Through it all, we saved and had a retirement plan, and someone who listened and helped us along the way. Because we always knew that someday the future would be the present.
Every someday needs a plan. Talk with us about your retirement today.
Graham, how the European markets started the week?
Well, the Friday close was a little mix. All markets were up week on week, but some were off for the day. The UK particularly, with some of the big hitters, British Gas, Shell, etc. down. Italy and Spain, it was mainly banks. Italy possibly particularly because they're bringing in some new scheme to try and protect or save the little banks, which will probably cost the big banks. Netherlands, again, industrials, particularly big hitters like Shell. Today the market started positively for the DAX and the FTSE. They were up, but there seemed to be a general sell-off started for the CAC SMI and the ADX, which the FTSE and the DAX then joined, all of which are down at this time. Italy was mixed, down then up and heading off again. Why is not entirely clear, possibly due to the uncertainty and nervousness caused by the Brussels lockdown over the weekend, which has continued into today. The data didn't support this. The busy week ahead for data. Today we had Eurozone composite PMI, which came in up, and services sector looked particularly good, with business activity rose the most since May 2011. Employment showed the biggest gain in 5 years. Manufacturing output reached a 3-month high, with the largest monthly book order since April last year. So not exactly a good reason to be selling off in the stock market. On the other hand, the French composite PMI was down. Both manufacturing and services showed weakness and the slowest growth in 3 months. And some service providers reporting that the Friday before last attacks had injured their business, but it seems a little early for that. On the other hand, composite and manufacturing PMI in Germany were up. We have German GDP tomorrow, as well as French business confidence. If the German economy continues to improve, you can see that this might create increased German resistance within the ECB to further quantitative easing. Morgan Stanley's prediction for Euro USD to drop by 1.06 at the end of third quarter appears correct, and they were forecasting to 101 by the end of third quarter 2016, but it looks like we may see this level much sooner.
Well, Graham, what are you looking at today?
What we have is an IPO that is really a privatization last Friday, and another IPO that didn't really come off. So that's what we're looking at today. The first is a bank that really needs no introduction, ABN AMRO. And the Dutch government and ABN AMRO have decided to privatize the bank, which went ahead on Friday as they thought it, and it proved to be the right time and the right move. In October 2008, the Dutch state nationalized Fortis Bank Netherlands, and Fortis owned a significant part of ABN AMRO. And they did this really as part of the banking crisis in order to stabilize and safeguard financial stability. Since the nationalisation, the Dutch government has made it very clear that this was a temporary measure, and they wanted to privatise the bank when they could. And now they've started to return it to the market. So the bank appears to be in good shape. Net banking income activity is primarily at 56% via its 300 branch network throughout the world in retail banking. Merchant banking makes up 34%, and finally private banking, where it's number one in the Netherlands, makes up about 10%. At the time now, it's managing some 216 billion euro of outstanding deposits and about 262 billion of outstanding loans. The Dutch state is currently, or just did sell on Friday, just 20% of what it owns in this privatisation, which will probably actually wind up as 23% because of over-allotment. And then it tends to sell its future holdings in future tranches, not announced when. The indicative price for the launch was set quite tight, actually, 16 to 20 euros, came in neatly around the middle at 17.75, valuing ABN at about 16.7 billion euros. However, there is a bit of a catch here, because actually you're not buying shares, you're buying depository receipts for shares. Actual shares are held by an independent foundation which has the powers to block any potential takeovers that the Dutch government doesn't agree with, or ABN AMRO doesn't agree with, to avoid the mistakes that led to the problems with Fortis and nationalisation. And also Dutch citizens are getting priority and discounts. So, interesting, more to come.
And the not so successful story?
This is an interesting story, not so much because it was a failed IPO, but because of the people involved. Just like fine wine, French vineyard domain Shanzy is hoping its IPO will get better with age and after a deal or two. The winemaker tried crowdfunding itself to a London AIM listing. Now, this is a French winemaker on the London Exchange earlier this year through the Cedars platform, a move that would have made it the second company to use crowdfunding ahead of a UK listing. But unfortunately, the bottle for the Grand Cru didn't quite pop, and those hoping for a tasty investment and a 55% discount voucher on the wine were left empty when the CEO, and I hope I get this name right, Philippe de Mercretian, informed that the business wasn't going to achieve its 1.9 million target, and therefore the IPO was abandoned. Instead, the winemaker, which is based in the Bouzeron, is planning to try to get more deals and acquire another French wine producer before coming back for flotation. Regardless of whether or not the acquisition happens, the company plans to come back to the market for an IPO, says Cedars CEO Jeff Lynn. It is unusual for a vineyard to be a deal place. Mainly it's people who've been in it for generations, but Domain's CEO de Mercretian, who took up the role in November, is not exactly your usual winemaker. He knows more about deals really than wine, as he worked in the private equity and M&A market for 20 years and was partner in Russian private equity business Bearing Vostok between 2004-2008 and co-founded Ulmer Private Equity, which invests in European luxury goods in 2012, and it is Ulmer that saved the business from near bankruptcy in 2012. So an interesting approach to funding a float. We'll keep an eye on Mr. de Mercretian's next move. So that's it for Graham Brown, and this is for Small Cap Nation Europe today.
Good news in the research lab has one biotech company surging in the market. The details on Novacure when Small Cap Nation comes right back.
Everyone works hard for a reason. Working together, we can help you prepare financially for when 2 becomes 3. Wells Fargo. Together we'll go far.
You want to be the best investor you can be. You want to cut through the noise of an overwhelming amount of analysis. You want the insights that will help you decide which ideas to execute and which to leave behind. You want your trades executed in 1 second or less, guaranteed and routed with institutional quality technology. Look no further. Open an account and find more of the expertise you need to be a better investor.
When I got the phone call that we had received the grant, I held my breath.
To have a program like this is a big reward.
Being a Chase Mission Main Street grant recipient is a game changer.
One of the biggest surprises in starting a small business is the number of hours we should work for the first 20 years.
One of the great things about this grant is that it is going to let us invest in some additional inventories.
It's going to allow this business to go to the next level.
Being a recipient of this grant, we can't be thankful enough.
It's a dream come true, and I'm still in awe.
Well, it may be a holiday-shortened week, but the biopharma industry has plenty on its plate in terms of price action. Novocure shares are surging in today's trade. What's behind the strong advance?
Novocure announced new Phase 3 data that showed promising results in brain cancer patients. In a late-stage study, Novocure's therapy Optune was evaluated in combo with Roche Holdings' cancer drug. Now, according to Novocure, the treatment reduced the risk of death by 39% in patients versus patients treated with Avastin alone. Optune is an FDA-approved device for use in patients with GBM, and this is the most common and aggressive form of brain tumor. The portable non-invasive device uses low-intensity electric fields, and it has shown some reversal in tumor growth and the ability to destroy cancer cells.
Ahead of tomorrow's FDA vote, BioMarin Pharma shares are seeing high volume. Meanwhile, Sarepta is extending its rally, both companies duking it out to gain traction in the muscular dystrophy market.
BioMarin will be in focus this week. Shares of the company opened higher but turned flat on the session. Now, last Friday, shares fell sharply after the FDA indicated that its panel reviewed efficacy data for BioMarin's DMD drug, drisapersen. The results posted to the FDA website show that the panel was not satisfied. Now, the FDA panel is set to vote on the drug tomorrow, Tuesday, November 24th. Keep in mind that there is strong demand for DMD treatment, and apart from BioMarin's drisapersen, Sarepta Therapeutics' eteplirsen is also under FDA review. Now, shares of the company rallied as drisapersen approval is not certain.
If either treatment were approved, how soon would they hit the market?
The drugs made by BioMarin and Sarepta both produce a protein dystrophin. The companies are seeking accelerated approval from the FDA, and this type of approval is usually granted to novel treatments that target serious and life-threatening conditions. An accelerated approval process does not require extensive biochemical and clinical data. Since there is no treatment on the market right now, once a company secures the accelerated approval, it would be required to complete a successful confirmatory clinical study. For Sarepta, the FDA committee is scheduled to hold a hearing in January of next year. The final decision would be expected the following month. Even with the approval, it may take years for a treatment to hit the market.
Mockingjay 2 opens to a franchise low box office, and the parent company is feeling the heat. Should investors buy, sell, or hold? We'll have the answer next on Small Cap Nation.
Guys, I got the jerseys. El Nino. Aquí. Spray Dan.
Oh, yeah.
Don Ovan.
Think that's me?
You guy. It's $40. Can you cover that?
I'll send it to you right now. Done.
Okay, got it. So Hat-Trick Rick, he's the best player on our team. You get the ball, you give it to him.
Great. Rick.
On your phone, online, on the go, Wells Fargo makes it easy to get banking done.
All right, Don, you're on. Nope, just kidding.
Doug, you've been staring at that for a while, huh? Listen, TD Ameritrade has former floor traders to help walk you through that complex trade, so you'll be confident enough to do what you want. I'll pull up your number. Blammo. Let's get those guys on the horn. Ooh. Looks like it is time to upgrade your phone, Douglas.
For all the confidence you need, TD Ameritrade. You got this.
Let's go, Serena. Fight, fight. Come on, fight. Can't stop me now. Come on, Serena. Oh. You don't want me. Can't mess with this. Back to the top. Here we go. 2, 4, 5, 6. Whoa, stop. Let's go back. 1, 2. Whoa, we're gonna stop there. I bet we can do it even better.
It took tennis legend Serena Williams, fencing champion Tim Morehouse, and the world-famous Rockettes years to master their craft. But it took them only moments to master paying bills at Chase.com, depositing checks at Chase ATMs, and transferring funds on the mobile app. Technology designed for you, so you can easily master the way you bank.
In buy-sell hold action today, Stifel has lowered its estimates on Lionsgate after the final installment of The Hunger Games underperformed at the box office. Haemonix was cut to underperform at Raymond James. Parkway Properties raised to a buy at Mizuho. Green Capital reiterated its buy rating on Celldex Therapeutics after its third quarter results and recent clinical trials. U.S. Steel was rated a short-term sell by Zacks. SunEdison's liquidity concerns are put aside after a Deutsche Bank analyst released a report on the company. And Pluristem rated a hold by Zacks, and insiders have recently been buying up shares. Thanks for joining us for Small Cap Nation, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. Until then, check back for the latest news and research on smallcapnation.com, Facebook, and Twitter.